Have you ever caught yourself sighing lately because everything just feels too fast? Fast in the way life moves, fast in the way expenses quietly creep up month after month, fast in the pressure that builds without anyone really talking about it. And the longer you live, the less you crave something flashy. What you start wanting becomes much simpler. A place where life slows down, your mind feels lighter, and each day doesn't feel like a race against rising costs. That's exactly why we make videos like this. We're not here to chase homes that only look good in photos, and we're not here to sell you a dream that's out of reach. What we focus on are properties that offer real options, places with a reasonable entry point, where the numbers make sense and the lifestyle shift is actually possible. In today's video, we're looking at two homes in two very different regions of Italy, both priced below their local market averages. The first is in Sicily, listed at 15,000 euros. It's a multi-level townhouse with balconies and a panoramic terrace overlooking the town. The second is in Abruzzo, priced at 25,000 euros. It's a terraced home that's already habitable, with a front courtyard, a terrace, a fireplace, and just a short drive to the sea. What makes this interesting is that both homes have very different strengths. The first one stands out because of its size and the almost unbelievable idea of owning a multi-level home with a terrace at that price point. The second doesn't overwhelm you at first glance, but it's the kind of option many people end up considering more seriously because it feels practical, usable right away, and easier to plan around. So, let's begin today's journey together. If you've ever imagined a town where the morning doesn't begin with traffic noise, but with the quiet rhythm of a small community, Bisacquino gives you exactly that feeling. This is the kind of place where people walk slowly, talk slowly, and let the day unfold with the sunlight. In a setting like this, owning a home isn't about showing off. It's about having a place to breathe, to rest, to return to. And then there's the detail that makes most people pause. A 4-level independent townhouse listed for just 15,000 euros. It's the kind of number that makes you double-check you read it correctly. The house measures about 115 square meters, with 2 bedrooms and 2 bathrooms. Both bedrooms have their own private balconies, which means natural light and airflow in each space. The entrance is independent, and the most valuable part of the story sits on the top floor. Up there, you'll find the kitchen, an additional bathroom, and a panoramic terrace overlooking the town of Bisacquino. This is the kind of terrace where you don't need much, just a chair, maybe a small table. In the late afternoon, you go up, watch the light shift over the rooftops, and suddenly you realize your pace has changed. The property is described as habitable and finished, ready for use. That matters. In this price range, many homes come with a full renovation battle attached. Here, at least according to the listing, you have a starting point that works. Improvements can come later, step by step, based on your own standards. In terms of daily life and connections, this isn't a big city, and you shouldn't expect it to function like one. But it's practical. A hospital is roughly a 15-20-minute drive. The nearest train station usually takes around 40 to 50 minutes by car, depending on the route. Palermo Airport is about an hour, maybe a little more. If you like seasonal changes, the sea is around 30-35 minutes away. A ski area can be reached in about an hour or slightly more. So you're anchored in local town life, but you still have the option to shift scenery when you want to. Now let's talk numbers, because this is where the safety margin becomes clearer. At 15,000 euros for 115 square meters, you're looking at roughly 130 euros per square meter. The average asking price in Bisacquino is around 326 euros per square meter. That's a noticeable gap. For someone looking for a second home or someone wanting to park capital at a low entry point, this creates room to maneuver. Of course, no opportunity comes without things to examine. The property has an energy rating of G with high recorded consumption. That usually means operating costs, especially heating, could be higher than expected unless upgrades are made. It's an older structure, and with that energy class, you'd likely want to review insulation, windows, and overall building condition. Floor plans and documentation should also be carefully checked, particularly in multi-level homes where changes may have occurred over time. But here's the perspective shift. None of that has to happen all at once. With an entry price this low, you have breathing room. You can assess, prioritize, and improve gradually instead of carrying a heavy mortgage from day one. And for some buyers, that flexibility is exactly what makes a property like this feel manageable rather than overwhelming. Now let's move to the second home in today's video. This time we head to Dogliola, the kind of hilltop town that feels almost cinematic. Life here isn't sliced up by packed schedules. You hear footsteps more than engines. People live by routine, by community, and by the quiet rhythm of narrow streets. It's not a place that overwhelms you at first glance, but if you stay long enough, you may notice something subtle. You breathe slower, you sleep deeper, and life feels less crowded by things that don't really matter. In that setting, we find a terraced townhouse described as ready to move into, listed at 25,000 euros. For many people, this price feels more grounded. It's not shockingly low, but it's still affordable enough to open a real opportunity, especially if you're looking for a small home with outdoor space, a sense of privacy, and no heavy renovation project attached. The house measures about 60 square meters with 2 bedrooms and 1 bathroom. One clear advantage is the fenced front courtyard and garden space, around 36 square meters, with lighting installed. That means you have a real outdoor area, a place for a few plants, a small table for coffee, or simply a buffer between your front door and the street. Inside, there's a fireplace in the living area, a detail that fits perfectly with Hilltown life. It brings warmth, both physically and emotionally. One of the bedrooms has a balcony, giving you light and airflow. The house uses a spiral staircase, visually interesting, but something you should think about in terms of long-term practicality. The layout is straightforward. On the ground floor, you have the living area with fireplace, a compact kitchen, and a bathroom with shower. Upstairs, reached by the spiral staircase, there's a small landing and 2 bedrooms, one with a balcony. Overall, this home suits a couple, a small family, or someone wanting a weekend base. Not large, but private enough to feel personal. In terms of daily convenience, Dogliola offers proximity to essentials. A grocery store is just a 1 or 2 minute walk away. The pharmacy is only a few steps further. That might sound minor, but for long-term living, especially later in life, those details matter. The nearest hospital is about a 25-30 minute drive. The closest train station is around 20 to 25 minutes away, and the Adriatic Sea, roughly 20 to 25 minutes by car. That's a strong advantage. Quiet hill life, but quick access to the coast. If you prefer a larger seaside town with more services, Vasto is typically 35 to 40 minutes away. Now the financial side. At 25,000 euros for 60 square meters, the price per square meter is about 417 euros. The local reference value in Dogliola is around 402 euros per square meter, so this property sits roughly in line with the village average. However, it's described as ready to live in, and it includes lifestyle enhancements like a fenced garden, fireplace, and hill views. Broaden the comparison, and you'll see the difference. The average in the province of Chieti is around 1,158 euros per square meter, and across Abruzzo, about 1,379 euros per square meter. So while this home isn't dramatically below its immediate village average, it remains significantly lower than broader regional standards. A few things to check, of course. The energy performance rating isn't clearly stated, so winter operating costs could be uncertain if you plan year-round living. The spiral staircase is charming, but may not be ideal long-term depending on mobility. The fenced garden is a real asset, but verifying boundaries and usage rights is essential. And like any property in a small town, documentation, floor plans, and structural condition should be carefully reviewed. But taken as a whole, this is the kind of home that feels easy to live in. It doesn't demand a major renovation from day one.
It offers a slower pace, a genuine outdoor space, and proximity to the sea close enough for spontaneous weekend shifts in scenery without heavy planning. And sometimes that balance is exactly what makes a house feel right.
We've just walked through two homes that start with numbers most people have to pause at: 15,000 euros, 25,000 euros. In many markets you might be used to, those numbers barely exist anymore. And maybe the most important thing today isn't which one is cheaper. Both are priced in a way that forces you to reconsider what you thought was possible. But the real question isn't how much does it cost, it's what are you actually buying? At a stage in life where stability starts to matter more than speed, owning a home isn't always about chasing fast appreciation anymore. It becomes about how you want to live the years ahead. There's a clear difference between owning in order to live and owning in order to carry weight. Owning to live means your monthly costs don't keep you anxious. Taxes, utilities, maintenance, they sit within a range you can predict and manage. It means you have space to read, to walk, to talk to a neighbor, instead of constantly thinking about the next payment. Of course, when you hear prices like these, it's normal to wonder if they're even real. They are, but in a very specific context: small towns, areas outside major urban centers, places not driven by speculation, regions where the pace is slower and demand is practical rather than explosive. The lower price isn't magic, it's a result of location, demographics, and how that local market functions. That doesn't mean everything is perfect. These homes are not keys to a flawless dream. There may be energy limitations, layout compromises, gradual adjustments you'll want to make over time. The purchase price is only the entry ticket. How you live with the house, that's the long story. Picture a simple morning after you've settled into a place like this. No rush to leave the house. You open the window and hear the wind across the hills or sense the sea air somewhere in the distance. You make coffee, sit in your usual chair, and there's no feeling that your home is dragging you down with costs you can't control. Maybe you fix small things over time. Repaint a wall, replace a door, improve something room by room. But it all happens at your pace, within your means. That's not romanticizing it, it's just a more grounded rhythm of life, one many people start looking for when they want less pressure, not more financial weight. So now the question isn't which house is better, it's which one fits the way you want to live. Do you prefer the quiet of a hill town with a panoramic terrace, or a compact home closer to the sea, where daily life is simple and within walking distance? If you'd like, leave a comment and share what stood out to you. Sometimes your perspective adds more depth than any property ever could. Thank you for staying until the end. If this approach helps you see the market more calmly, consider subscribing and continuing the journey with us. In the next video, we'll open another door somewhere in Europe. No rush, no overpromises, just trying to see more clearly, and maybe live a little lighter.